My list of videos that I intend to make in the future is long. Some will have to wait for other videos to be made, and some are more urgent than others. In November of 2023, after I had posted my videos Creative Guidance and the Koan Solution, I had 3 competing ideas that were at the top of my list. The first was about what I intend to do with creative guidance in future videos. The second was about the 3-card spread that I mentioned in my video about creative guidance. I call it the Becoming spread. It uses oracle cards to mirror the I Ching, where one hexagram becomes another via changing lines. I devised it to be able to address a variety of types of questions, including questions about the future. The third idea was inspired by a popular spiritual teacher having recently said that there is no dark agenda, and suggesting that to believe in a dark agenda is to have an unloving, fear-based perception of the world. I wanted to address that topic because I know that there is overwhelming evidence that the dark agenda is very real. As I explained in my video, The Power Ethic and Why It Is Invalid, love, creativity, awareness, truth, and personal evolution are the same thing, seen from different perspectives. So how can it be unloving to be aware of unsavory truths? The opposite is true. It is unloving to hide one's head in the sand and project one's fears onto those who point out dangers that need to be avoided. The question was, which of these 3 topics should I address first? I decided to use a Becoming spread to get advice. Here is the spread I was given. The first card in the spread represents the key essence. To understand what the spread is saying, we need to recognize how that essence is involved in the question. The third card in the spread represents what that essence will become in the future via the essence depicted in the second card. This was a wonderful and amazing clue. It didn't suggest any particular idea. It showed me how all 3 topics could be addressed in one video. It did that, firstly by itself being an example of how I want to use creative guidance in my videos. Secondly, by being an example of the Becoming spread. And thirdly, by speaking directly to the dark agenda and explaining how the dark agenda enslaves and suppresses our freedom via ignorance. Having been shown this picture of 3 topics in one, I set to work writing this script and expected it to be completed in a few days. But then a series of frustrating delays began. Each time some task was handed to me by serendipity, which took me away from finishing the script. Each time when I came back to the task, I realized that a lot of rewriting was required. Then something else distracted me. This is the 6th incarnation of the script. The process was very frustrating at first, but I soon realized that it was a manifestation of a challenge that Pluto is presenting to my Neptune at present. As such, it is serendipitous empowerment, so I just went with the flow of it. It soon became clear why I needed to wait to finish the script. In December and January, pertinent events happened. I have included an example below. My challenge passed its peak on the 23rd of January. Now that the mists are rolling back, I have found myself able to complete the script. So let's proceed now to look at what the spread is saying. The first card is the world, but it is reversed. We can think of any clue we might get from an oracle as having turned the question back upon us, saying, "How does this essence fit your question? Contemplate that and you will see the answer." It was immediately clear to me that that card was highlighting topic number 3. It is undeniable that our world is indeed inverted. In the light of what is now known, it is clear that our world has been inverted for thousands of years. For those with eyes to see, ears to hear, and a heart connection to feel, things have been becoming much more apparent over the past 100 years. That is because Pluto has been doing his job, dredging up hidden abuses so that they can be seen. This process has been coming to a head since Pluto went into Capricorn, sign of authority, in 2008. As Pluto proceeded through Capricorn, he systematically exposed the unsavory truth about fake authority. As a result, many are now aware that the system we live under is founded upon fake authority, and that fake authority has a very dark agenda. The final couple of degrees of Capricorn are ruled by Damocles, planet of true authority. When people become aware that an authority has been abusing their trust, they know it is fake, because true authority helps people be the authority of their own lives. It doesn't seek to control and rule over them for its own ends. When exposed, fake authority sits uneasy on its throne like Damocles with the sword of truth hanging over his head by a single hair from a horse's tail. As Pluto approached the throne of Damocles, many examples came to light. One in particular was very clear and extra empowering because it occurred on the 14th of December, just as Pluto was about to conjunct the throne of Damocles. Rachel Elnaugh posted a video about the event shortly afterwards. I will leave a link to her video in the description. Fake authority trespassed on land at Cressbrook, owned by Rachel and a group of other heart-centered people. The land was vandalized by fake authority and property was stolen, all because unlawful diktats had been ignored. The essence of such abusive action by fake authority reminds me of a scene in the TV miniseries Shogun from 1980. It was based on a 1975 novel by James Clavell. The story is set in 1600. John Blackthorn, the protagonist, is shipwrecked on the shores of Japan, where he is at first threatened with execution as a pirate, but eventually rises to a position of trust in service to the Shogun. In the aforementioned scene, John Blackthorn is abused by a samurai seeking to impress his authoritarian control upon John. John is made to lie down and the samurai urinates on his back. Clearly, fake authority was seeking to humiliate Rachel and her group from a similar conceited hubris. However, John Blackthorn had some hubris himself. Rachel and her group are much more heart-centered, and thus the attempted humiliation backfired. I will leave a link in the description to a short video of the old Shogun scene on YouTube. It is very synchronous that a new mini-series of Shogun has been made to be shown this year. I didn't know that before I looked up the link. Rachel and her group are an excellent example of people with the heart connection to feel the difference between right and wrong deeply enough to stand firmly on their rights. Rachel understands the power of positivity and, crucially, that it is not positive to repress our painful emotions. Only by shining the light of our awareness on our repressed pain and healing it can we be empowered by the truth that is revealed? Such inner empowerment gives us the courage and inner peace to confront fake authority in the correct way. As we see in Rachel's video, when confronted from a heart-centered place, fake authority reacts, exposing its lack of authenticity by openly and abusively exceeding its bounds. Standing up for one's rights in a heart-centered way is very different from the way that John Blackthorn tried to stand up for his rights. He reacted from anger and got smacked down. Responding from love is a creative blend of assertiveness and universal justice. It works to expose the fake authority as a paper tiger. The rulerships and co-rulerships of planets are mirrored in the line defined by the cusps of Leo and Aquarius, which means that whereas the throne of Damocles is at almost 29 degrees of Capricorn, his regency is at just over 1 degree of Aquarius. Pluto went into Aquarius on the 20th of January and will come into conjunction with the regency of Damocles around about the 24th of this month. This is a time where a paradigm-shifting vision of freedom is forming. It will be based on previous exposures of authoritarian abuse whilst Pluto has been in Capricorn. The shift is starting to hit the fan, as we can see with the farmers Europe-wide. We have this topsy-turvy world because of the dark agenda to complete the enslavement of mankind. We can see that inversion by contrasting it with the unfettered freedom depicted in the third card. The Eight of Wands is a card of free-flowing, easy energy. However, far from having that kind of freedom, the whole of mankind is enslaved by a system honed over centuries by those behind the dark agenda. I call them the lowliest slaves of the power ethic. They think of themselves as clever and elite because their cunning seems to have put them in a position of power and authority over others, and they imagine they are about to totally enslave mankind. Far from being clever and elite, though, it is literally the most profoundly stupid plan possible. It is an extreme example of the second card. The second card is the Four of Cups, and like the World card, it is inverted. The inversion is saying that the reason why we have a topsy-turvy world ruled by those with a dark agenda is that we have been, to an extent, partaking of the three empty cups that they are obsessed with and ignoring the fourth new cup offered by Spirit. The Four of Cups is a card of boredom and how to overcome it. It depicts how to live a fulfilled life. In the card we see a man sitting cross-legged under a tree looking at three empty cups. He has not yet become aware of a fourth full cup being offered creatively by Spirit. Cups cards are water cards, and the water element represents knowledge. Knowledge is not just information, it is the feeling flow that stems from the recognition of truth. The opposite of knowledge is an empty cup full of suffering. Suffering is a lack of flow that happens when we stifle new revelations of truth. It is dry and devoid of enjoyment. When we ignore new revelations, we not only stifle the expansion of our knowledge, we also stifle the enjoyment derived from what we already know. That has to happen because our old knowledge flows towards our new knowledge. So to repress our new knowledge, we must struggle against the flow of our old knowledge. The Four of Cups is a card of finding new joy by following our hearts, by turning to see the new cup being offered to us. When that principle is inverted, it causes us to try to squeeze joy out of a stony heart. A stony heart is what we get when we practice the power ethic. In order to enslave others, we have to enslave ourselves first by applying the power ethic internally. Otherwise, we would feel the wrong we do acutely. The extremely sad state of the lowliest slaves of the power ethic is that they live in the profoundly unhappy condition of trying to hog all the empty cups to themselves whilst denying that they are empty. They are perpetually paranoid about having any of their empty cups taken away. That makes them control freaks and leads them to double down on their dedication to the power ethic. Eventually, however, such hubris must lead all souls to a rock-bottom experience. This spread is showing us how to turn our world right side up and have the easy freedom depicted in the Eight of Wands. The secret is to discard any dedication to the power ethic left within us. It points out that by listening to our hearts, we open to creative solutions offered by guidance from spirit. It is guidance that the lowliest slaves of the power ethic have walled themselves off from by petrifying their hearts. They are literally so petrified that they imagine they must control everything to feel safe. There is no real safety in that. It is a system of backstabbery. Mankind is now outgrowing the power ethic and stepping into the new age of galactic Aries, which began in 2012. This is not the much vaunted age of Aquarius. We will not enter that for several decades yet. These two ages have been erroneously conflated because the Mayan calendar was wrongly thought to coincide with the end of the sidereal age of Pisces. As I explain in my video Saturn's Solstice, 2012 saw us enter the new age of galactic Aries, an age of self-determination. In order to apply our self-determination intelligently, our actions must be founded on truth. Thus, Aquarius' sign of new, more truthful paradigms is key. As Pluto moves through Aquarius, he will be preparing us for the sidereal age of Aquarius. He will be exposing abuses of new technology so that we can become mature enough to use such technology wisely and not destroy ourselves with it. There is a lot of technological abuse to expose. The dark agenda depends on it. As I have quoted a few times before, love is giving others what they need to be their real selves. So, as we free humanity from fake authority and take all the empty cups away, it will be a deeply loving thing for all concerned. This fulfills the first topic because my plan is to use creative guidance in my videos to identify the underlying causes of certain aspects of our enslavement and find creative solutions. This spread gives us an overview of the general cause and a general solution. The World card represents an end of a cycle where knowledge of one's creative will has matured into deep knowing and a new creative cycle is about to begin. This is what is happening for mankind via the exposure of the dark agenda. We are learning to turn our attention to the fourth cup and thus turn the world upright. In closing, I want to say that the idea of ignoring negativity is bullshit. It was promoted by the lowliest slaves of the power ethic to try to prevent us from seeking very dark truths and doing something about them. It was their attempt to keep us focused on the empty cups because the new cup is full of empowerment. So if you find yourself being accused of negative thinking, know this: seeing truth is always positive, and to ignore difficult truth is to be positively negative. That is all for now. Thank you for your attention.